Good afternoon. Welcome back. Kent Bain with 9 Business Group and Elevate Your Business Chat. We have Monica joining us today. Monica, welcome. Digital Monk Marketing, I believe. Please introduce yourself and your name and your company name and what you guys do. But more importantly, what makes you different, what sets you apart.
That's a big intro. My name is Monica Arora. I am the founder of Digital Monk Marketing. I've had the company for 17 years now, navigating through the digital landscape of marketing, which is quite interesting, as everyone would know, with AI coming in and changing the world completely. So been exploring that space for quite some time, and more exclusively with AI.
Excellent. I want to dig in there. With 17 years of experience, you probably, in the world of, even if, let's make the jump and say you always haven't been fully in digital marketing. Back in 2007, you probably did other forms of marketing like print, yellow pages, for those who remember the yellow pages. So give us kind of a 3-part, if you can, if you look at 17, 18 years in the industry. What was 2007 like? What was 2015 like? And then what was 2000 like versus 24? And sort of, if you can, document the 3 or 4 changes that we've had in marketing in the last 15 to 20 years.
So the fundamentals of marketing are always the same. How do we get into the consumer's head to have them make a purchase, right? That's the end goal, is how do we get business? And so the fundamentals of marketing are the same, just the mediums have changed, and how we consume data and how we make decisions based on the medium that we're in has changed. So in 2007, yeah, you're right. There was print advertising, there was bus bench advertising. Like, that was a big thing back then, right? Yellow pages, if you had a business, you weren't really a business until you were in the yellow pages. That was it. That's where people looked. That was the search engine. That was the analog search engine, was the yellow pages, right? And even back then they had competitors. They had like a can pages, and they had Asian pages, and they had, all sorts of these booklets where you could look up businesses, and we would buy that space in hopes that we would be discovered. So, that was the Google of that time. And then we got into the era of the internet and search engine optimizations. And now we could serve our business, or we could be found by anybody in the world, really. So drastic change, because then as a consumer, you have millions of options of who you can give your business to. So how are we deciding? And the fundamentals of how we decide who we give our business to is exactly the same now as it was in 2007.
And how is that? How do we decide? I mean, we have access to more information. Make the comment, we're probably overwhelmed more often than not. Joe consumer goes along, looks at Yelp or Google reviews, whatever. Do consumers, so 1, have we changed how we make decisions? Or 2, do we consume more information to make a decision?
I think we consume a lot more information to make a decision, but it makes us more undecisive. It makes it harder for us to make a decision because we have too much information to make a decision now. So we become in the space of, I just don't know. So it actually takes us longer now to make a decision. Before, we would call a few of our friends and saying, hey, I'm looking for a dry cleaner. Who do you use? I use this guy across the street. He's great. Great, I'll take my stuff there. Decision made. Now we're looking at Google reviews. Now we're asking our friends. Now we're going to ChatGPT. Now we're going to Google and searching in and seeing who's coming up on the top pages. And then we're doing our research. So are we making a better and more informed decision? Yep, we probably are. But how much longer is it taking us to make that decision now? And finding someone to do business with, and is it worth it? I have my own opinions on that, but at the same time, that sales cycle is a lot longer than it used to be before.
Really? You think so? The sales cycle is longer?
I do think it's sales cycle, because when we have more information to sift through to make a decision, now we're taking in so many other considerations that we weren't looking at before. There were no Google reviews to look at. We just talk to our friend or our neighbor of where they were doing business, and that was kind of solidified at that point.
So how do you, with your marketing company, what advice strategies, how do you help your clients modify, change what they do? How do you assist an entrepreneur at 300,000 in sales or 1.5 million in sales gain market share and gain clients with a quote unquote noisy atmosphere?
Yeah. And the fundamentals are still the same of 2007. And just again, the mediums are different. And why do I say that is because the brain and the psychology behind making that sale is still very much the same. We're just finding new ways of doing it. So I'm just getting back to the question now. Sometimes I get off on a tangent.
Oh, take your time.
So back to the question.
So the question was, how do you help your clients navigate and differentiate themselves so that your clients can grow their businesses? With all the noise out there, how do you use your knowledge, expertise, and your company to help your clients, and what do they do different?
Understanding what's really important to that user. What is that avatar? What makes them tick? What makes them make that decision? Because if you can get into understanding their psychology, then you can communicate to them in the way that they want to be communicated. And you can talk to them in a way that's going to align with them.
So in summary, the tighter we can get and the better we can know our intended audience, how they eat, sleep, breathe, their motivation, the more clearly we can speak to them.
Yeah, it's all about the messaging then. How are we speaking to them in the most authentic way? It's not about sales anymore. If we see something that's too salesy now, we immediately dismiss it because it feels like we're being sold to, and we don't want to be sold to anymore. We are looking
Were we sold to before? In 2007, do you think we were sold to?
Yeah, if you look at the advertising back then and you look at the advertising now, it's completely different. Everything is glossy and shiny and pretty. Like if you look at the magazines back then, you're being sold to. You have a glamorous woman wearing the glamorous outfit, selling, the perfume. Like we remember the Dior commercials and the Dior ads in the Cosmo, magazine. That doesn't work anymore. That is too shiny. That's not authentic anymore. Because now what's selling is the influencer on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram with her hair in a messy bun and talking about her opinion on a certain product and service. And you trust her. You trust her because she looks like you. We didn't look like the models in theirs. We couldn't trust them. They were too shiny. They were too perfect. They were too photoshopped. Photoshopped images don't work anymore. It's the realness. It's the rawness that sells us now because that's who we identify with. We don't identify with those with plastic. And that's what sold before. We identified with something that we longed to be. Now we identify with who we are. It's more authentic.
Super fascinating. Okay. So fast forward, it's 2023, 2024. We have this wonderful thing called AI, which I don't know, people are talking about. Some people say it's real. Some people go, it's a passing fad. So two-part question. How is it impacting your business? How is it helping or hindering? And then more importantly, is it here to stay or is it going to evolve into something else?
The AI that we're experiencing right now is a fraction of what it's going to be. It's at a very infant level right now that we are wowed by because it can do a lot of things that we didn't have a tool doing for us before. So it is a huge advancement in technology, absolutely. But from where it is now and where it's going to be, this is nothing. And I don't think it's this version is not here to stay. This is just a taste of what we're going to.
So when you look forward 5 years in the world of marketing, what else do you think is going to change? Because you kind of said, okay, the buyer's not going to change, but we've went from glossy, shiny to being authentic, real, rough around the edges. I'd almost say more humble. But what's the next evolution? Is now going to be, let's say 2030. What do you see in the landscape as far as how entrepreneurs, business owners are going to market, brand, and connect with their audience?
Yeah, so I think it's going to go more in this direction that we're already seeing is it has to be real, it has to be authentic. I don't think it's going to come full circle to it being back to glossy and unreachable. So I think even now, actually, the trends in 2024 is that influencers are out and educators are in. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. This is going to be the slow demise of the influencer and the new revolution of the educator. And why is that? Because influencers have done their piece. They were trustworthy for a while. They came in with the messy bun. They related to us. They sold us stuff. But we've recognized that they're just there to sell us stuff now. And that doesn't feel authentic anymore. So what's going to happen now is that we're going to have a lot more influencers type people, people with big accounts and people who have things of value to say, but they'll be coming in with an educational piece on educating you on what's happening in the world, where things are trending, and then inserting product recommendations within education, not, hey, I'm being paid to promote this, and look underneath my, in my caption, you'll see it's a paid sponsorship. Because the second you see paid sponsorship now, we're deterred. We're not influenced. The second we see paid sponsorship, we're not influenced anymore. So it's going to be the educational piece that's going to get more viral.
Okay, so is it educational information about the product or service being sold? Or is it educational? I guess differentiate. As a business coach, part of my job is educational. But how does it relate if I'm selling a Yeti cup? How do I build a marketing campaign on a Yeti cup that's educational? Walk us through. Is there an example there for us?
Yeah, so with the Yeti cup, you're not talking about how cool a Yeti cup is, but you're talking about the features of how it's enhanced your lifestyle and why the Yeti cup is actually superior to its competitors because of X, Y, and Z. Well,
so go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So it's almost like going back to 2005 where we had a feature sheet, pros and cons were better than the competition because, but going one step deeper or two steps deeper, and we are different than the competition. And here's the story behind this product versus that one. Is that a too summarized point of view?
No, I think you got the point. I think you got the point because the problem is that with the influencers, it was such a big boom with influencers. Everyone was on board, and anything that they would bring up in their videos, you were going out to buy. I mean, if you look at the whole Kardashian space, they killed it there. They knew what their audience wanted. No matter what they showed up on their social media feed, it was going to sell out. And consumers were tired of that. They're like, why are we just following blindly that we should buy whatever these big influencers are telling us to buy? Is there anything of value there? And after the last 15 years of seeing this happen, we're noticing that it's not of value anymore. We were again convinced, we were sold to in just a different format. We don't want to be sold to. We want to make informed decisions. And that's why the educator is going to come in and help us make that informed decision. They're not going to sell us a specific product. They're going to give us enough information. So when we go in and make a purchasing decision, we felt like it was our decision and that we had done all of the research before making that decision. We were not influenced anymore. It was all a decision that we made from within. And I think that's
okay. I'm dying to know. How long do you think the influencer in a trend was? Was it a 3-year sprint? Was it a 7-year journey? If we actually think about how long that industry lasted, you're saying it's on the decline. How long were you exposed to it? A couple years, 5 years, 6 years?
I would say about 8 years, yeah. And then you would see it was the big accounts that did really well. Like I'll bring it back to the Kardashians again, right? They had the big accounts, the millions and millions of followers. And then you started noticing it was the micro influencers that actually had more influence, and they were able to sell more products than the macro influencers. So you already saw that trend from the top of like the big accounts really selling, and then it was the micro accounts that were selling more and pushing more product. And that was from the high accounts, the big followers, to the lower ones. That was the demise of the influencer because we started realizing we were just being sold to. And then it felt more organic buying from a mom who had 10,000 followers than somebody who had 48 million followers.
All right. So how long is the educational era going to last in the world of marketing? Are we looking at 3 to 5 years? Are we looking at about another 7 to 8? Well, how long do you think this era will last?
I think it'll be a shorter sprint because this will run out as well. I think it'll be
shorter yet.
I think it'll be shorter.
Well, all I can say is I hate the rate of change. It's getting shorter and shorter all the time, and the world seems to change faster and faster all the time. But I guess that is the world we live in. So as we wrap this up, and if you were to give 2 or 3 pieces of advice, counsel to the entrepreneurs out there who are entering the world of marketing, what would it be?
know who your audience is, like, to a T. Either you do market research to understand who they are, taking interviews, like, you really need to know who that end user is, because you need to know how they want to be spoken to and how they want to be reached out to. Otherwise, you're just shooting in the dark and hoping something sticks. So really understanding who that avatar is, and then speaking their language, communicating to them in a way that they want to be communicated in, is key. What do they
What was the
do?
second one? Do you have a second one?
Do I have a second one? Follow the trends, figure out what's happening. Like AI is a trend right now. It'll turn into something much more and bigger than us, but understand how to use the trend. So when AI came out, everyone's like, this is great, I can create so much content, and they're creating all of their social media content and their blogs and their website content. To that point, Google in November had announced at their symposium saying, hey, if you're creating content for your website or your blogs with AI content, we will not rank you. That is not real valuable content, because you're not writing it and you're not adding the viewer. You're not providing the user with any value, because it's not you writing. And that's
And
huge.
to add to that, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've, whether I'm right or wrong, I've been saying that for a year, maybe a year and a half, when we talk about AI, chat GTP, and all the different things out there. It's like, it's only processing information that it finds. It's not new, it may not be relevant, it's simply regurgitating shit, garbage in, garbage out. And I think the real art and the real science, maybe in that educational piece, is one of, how do you use it, and then how do you make it personal? How do you direct it? How do you make it your language, your voice, authentic? And it is funny, because it was kind of like, yeah, it's cool, and I've had clients write articles like, to your point, it's not you. And eventually someone's going to figure out, and good for Google for not only just creating it, but then saying it's cool and fun, but we still want to help the audience connect with the best person. So fantastic. All right, to wrap this up, who's your ideal client? Who should be looking for Monica? Who should be looking for Digital Monk Marketing?
People who really understand the value of marketing. I'm not here to convince you to do the marketing. People who understand the value of marketing.
Yep.
Because
Who's your ideal client?
any small to medium-sized company who is looking to attract their audience. They understand who their audience is. They know what makes them tick, and we can create that messaging for them and reach them where they're at. Reach them where they're at.
And where will they find you?
www.digitalmonkmarketing.com.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Love the answers. Love the history lesson, and more importantly, love the insight into what's coming next.
Thank you.